a man who won 53 England caps, and of course he managed his country as well at the 1998 World Cup. It's a very good morning to Glenn Hoddle. Morning, Glenn.
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Troy. How are you?
Good morning, Glenn. You're looking world class as always, sir. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm very good, actually. Very good. Nice sun's out here anyway, so
lovely. Yeah,
lovely. To a nice day.
I mean, look, from Thomas Tuchel's point of view, games like this against Albania and Latvia, brilliant in many respects, get his feet under the table, so on and so forth. But, you know, it's a sort of no-win situation, isn't it? You know, against sides that are going to sit in that low block against you. Everybody expects you to go and bury them, but it's not that easy.
No, it's not that easy, and their performances, you're on hiding to nothing. You're expecting and wanting, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 goals, you know, make it an easy night, but they're always difficult until you get that first goal. And I think that was evident last night, particularly. Once the free kick went in, the second half, you know, it started to open a tiny bit. But even then, when you go 1-0 up, these teams don't really open up and say, right, let's go and try and draw the match and then open up themselves. So it's the way it is, but no one's going to remember those performances or those results once we've qualified and we're there. It's about getting over the line, getting the points tucked away under your belt and moving on. And I think he'll have learned a lot from the different styles and different players and what he's looked at and what he's learned in the training ground. So, you know, all in all, it's a very positive start for him. And I do particularly like him. I think it's a really good choice the FA have gone for. I think he's got experience, he's a winner. I think he might just be the one that can drag us over the line and maybe take us to another level. I just feel we've got so many talented players. They're coming out of his ears, really, going forward. And I think he can get the best out of them, I really do.
Glenn, just asking, you know, when you was building up to World Cups and having these little camps, what is it that you're looking for? Is it for the bigger takeaways? Is it the performances? Is it how they act together in and around St George's Park in this situation? What is it that you're looking for as a manager?
Well, from a manager's point of view, you are looking to see their characters, you know, around the training camp and all that. There's no doubt about that, and their mentality a little bit. But there's nothing like my judgment would always be how you cope with that. You know, once you go over that white line, how mentally you can cope if you've got the character to play. Some players, they go into another level that they haven't showed you in training because they're that good. That's when the pressure's on. That's when you judge a player. And sometimes when you're having a hard time during the game, excuse me, is when you judge a player far more, and it's easier to see what he's got. So I always used to judge with my eyes from a playing point of view, particularly when you're playing for England, the pressure that's on young players, you know. So, yes, in the training camp, you can see what they can do, but I've trained a lot of world-class players on a training ground that can't reproduce it on the pitch. And you'd rather it the other way around, you know, pretty low-key, and then suddenly they come alive on the pitch, and you find out what players you can lean on, which players you can rely on. And obviously, they've got to have the talent, and we have got a bunch of players that are incredibly talented. They really are. When you think of Eze and Rodgers and, you know, on top of your Fodens and you know, Palmer wasn't even out there. Our best football player in the country, or he has been for the last 18 months. You know, incredible talents, and they're just. I think Thomas Tuchel will be experienced enough and good enough to get the balance right. He knows that he'll come up against better opposition, but I think we've got a really good trainer on a very good horse. Whether we go and win that race is another story, but you're giving yourself the best chance.
I mean, looking at that camp as a whole then, Glenn, you've had experience of it. What did you make of Jordan Henderson being called up to it?
Well, I think it was an interesting one because obviously Thomas felt there was not sort of a leadership quality there at the moment, an experience, and I think he's brought him in for that reason alone, which there's different facets that make a squad. You know, there really are. I just think he's looked at that and thought, I just need an experienced head in there, someone that's at this moment in time. Whether that's something that goes all the way to the final, we'll wait and see, because he'll be looking at that, you know, behind the scenes, how he's good with the other players. Is he sort of somebody that can inspire other players by doing a bit part job on the pitch, but also it's more important for him. Because sometimes as a manager, you want an extension of your staff as a player. Normally that's your captain. But if you're not going to play every game, then it can't be that in international. And that's where you slightly manage differently at international level than you do club level. Because my captains, I always felt I wanted them to be my extension on the pitch. Troy would tell you, there's nothing like going on that pitch. You know, your manager can't do anything. You're down to the players. You can make adjustments, but you really need that. You need that on the pitch whilst the game's being played. That's the most important part of the week.
Yeah, I was going to say the inclusion of Kyle and Jordan, in my opinion, shows the lack of real leadership that we have at this moment in time. And what I mean by real leadership is that we've got Harry and a few that are obviously clearly talented players, but no, you know as well, just as well as I do, the guys that are not involved, keeping them to a level. What you do in the gym, what you do after training, that's where I think those guys being included was much more needed as a well-rounded, because you're only as good as your weakest player, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what he's done. I think Declan Rice will be somebody that will morph into that role, that position. I see him as a captain in years to come because of the position he plays for England as well. But you're right, Troy. I think at club level, you would have that player. You would have a couple of players, maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4, where, you know, those experienced players, if they're good apples, not bad apples, they're great examples for players. And I think that's what he's looked at. He's looked at Walker and Henderson to come in, particularly on his first get-together. You know, this might not happen. It might evolve differently. He might look at Rice. He might look at Kane. He might look and then go, you know what, I've got enough. I have got some leaders out there that you know, I'm getting to know them more. And he'll change the squad as he goes, but as it evolves. But you know, Thomas will be shrewd enough to work that one out, and if not, those guys will probably be going all the way to the World Cup.
I mean, so many players, Glenn, that we could talk about. I want to pick on one, actually, really. Given his chance last night, that was Morgan Rogers. He's had a wonderful season in the Premier League. What did you make of his performance?
I think he's one that I've just explained there. When you want to find out about somebody on the pitch, you know, all the hype, you've had a look at him in training. Can he reproduce it? He went out there and his first bit of skill that he made when he went out towards the corner flag, and he did what I call a Revellino. It was back in the day. He used to hit the top of the ball and he spun round the guy, and I don't think anyone saw actually what he did, but he got on the back of him on the byline and cut it back, and I think it went for a corner. And I thought, my word, if that's your first thing you're going to do as a player coming on, you know, from the bench, I mean, and he was wonderful. I thought he was excellent. He's just got that little bit of guile about him, that little bit of turn of pace. And my word, for his age, he's got that body strength that possibly like a Rooney when he was really young, strong for a youngster. He won't get knocked off the ball, and he's a confident lad, and he believes in his own ability. I mean, when you think about that type of player coming through is only going to get better. Eze's got talent coming out of his ears. You've got Palmer, you've got Foden. I mean, he's got so many riches there that could be moulded and changed, and little systems that might suit him. So, you know, it's not just going to be black and white. He's going to make changes along the line, and it'll be his eye that he'll say, I'm suited. He suits me. What I want, that's what I want from a player. I'm having him there. He's not going to worry about, Thomas Tuchel's not going to worry about anyone's ideas, opinions from us, from the media, from the FA. He'll do the job as he wants to do it. And I think that's refreshing.
Let's hope he's successfl, Glenn. Look, thank you very much indeed, mate.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.